Halloween is upon us.
Yep. A couple more days. It'll officially be Halloween.
Halloween, the night of October 31st. That's correct.
That is correct.
The eve of All Saints' Day.
Okay.
Commonly celebrated by children who dress in costume and solicit candy or other treats door to door.
Solicit's such a dirty word, isn't it?
I agree with this definition.
It is factual.
I can now see why people think this is a pedophile's holiday.
I mean, the word solicit.
Solicit
That's
candy.
up there with like moist and throat. Is just like kind of throat. Like like soliciting something into a moist throat.
Oh boy. So I solicited candy as a child.
I solicited a great deal of candy.
Specifically, I remember a couple of costumes. Yep. I was Crayon when I was a young child. The same year, my parents apparently also thought I needed to be a pumpkin. Which I was not happy with.
So you were like the Madonna concert of Halloween. You had costume changes throughout the night?
Except I didn't have cone nipples. Let's see, a couple years later, I was a clown with my mom. And then my favorite Halloween costume was when I was the White Ranger. Go, go, Power Rangers!
That is pretty awesome. It doesn't really get more 90s.
Well, I love that in my costume here, I'm the White Ranger, but I'm wearing sneakers with it.
What are those?
I think all of us had that problem because I vividly remember that being something that always bothered me. Like, I'd wear a costume.
Sweet boots on the
like,
show.
Yeah! Killer boots, man!
And back when we were little, the costumes, like now I feel like some of them actually have legit feet built into them. We just had those stupid little flaps that like hang over your shoe, and we're always fucked up.
They're always folded up.
Yeah, they always flip up. So it's like, why even have them?
So what about you? What were you as a kid?
Oh boy, so one of them that I most vividly actually remember was when I was Dracula. And my mom drew on some eyebrows. For one thing, they were crooked. Like, one was bigger and more offset than the other.
In the picture, you look like Groucho Marx.
And I'm wearing these tennis shoes that look like they got about 7 or 8 pairs of laces on them.
What are those?
Like, it's the most ridiculous fucking thing I've ever... Just white. They look like something a 65-year-old man would wear. When I was a baby, I did the pumpkin thing because my first Halloween was before I was a year old because my birthday wouldn't be till December.
So this would be... 2 times in your life you've been a pumpkin.
That's true, but well, that's when I was just dressed as a pumpkin. I didn't fully identify as a pumpkin until a couple of weeks ago. One that I really remember well is when I dressed as Robin Hood one year. My grandma actually made this from scratch, which was pretty impressive. She even made the quill and everything.
So were you furry Robin Hood?
You must be joking.
What did you think I thought when I said furry Robin?
I was thinking like modern day furries.
Oh boy, nobody wants any of that.
That is actually my favorite Disney animated film of all time. Oh no, not modern day furries. Woo! Had you worried there for a minute.
You should call your grandma up and see if she still has it.
She's dead. I don't think she's gonna... Oh god.
What have I done?
So I'm dressed as Robin Hood, and we didn't go trick-or-treating in the neighborhood because I lived in an apartment complex in Duluth. So it's like, it sucks trying to trick-or-treat at an apartment for one thing.
Yeah.
So since we lived in Duluth, if I remember right, I know I went to a mall to do trick-or-treating because I don't know if they do that anymore, but that used to be a big thing.
They do it a lot at churches. I think it's like trick-or-treat.
Yeah, but they did it, I think it was at Gwinnett Place Mall back before it was an empty shithole. And it was kind of awesome. I mean, literally, you're walking on 2 levels. Every store's got someone giving out candy. It was kind of awesome.
Just throwing candy at you like you're a stripper.
You know, when I was little, I was dressed as Batman one year. I was Darth Vader one year in middle school. That was pretty awesome.
It's Vader!
And the one I remember most, because of the amazing story involved, is... being dressed as Darth Maul. So we all know Darth Maul looks very demonic. So if you don't know that he's a Star Wars villain, you just think it's some demon or devil, right? We all know the rule at Halloween. It's been a rule forever. You flip that damn porch light off if you ain't got no candy.
That means you got candy if you got it on.
If your light's on, it's all like it's game on. We're coming to your door.
There's gonna be children soliciting candy.
Oh yeah, there's gonna be a lot of solicitation.
Yep.
So I solicit this house one night with a friend of mine. He
You
and
sound like a hooker or something.
I kind of do, don't I? So we knock on the door. And dude's got his porch light on. He answers the door and he was like, he greeted us and he was like, "Yeah, we don't do Halloween in this household." And he literally said, "It's the devil's holiday." And I go, "Oh my, oh boy."
How old were you?
I was in 8th grade at the time. And then the guy continues his preaching session. He says, he looks directly at me and says, "Look at you. You dress like the devil." I was soliciting candy, not a gateway to the Lord. I mean, we did go to one house one year, and they had the porch light on too, but this wasn't a situation about Jesus or anything.
Oh, boy.
My sister's taking me out trick-or-treating, and we go to the door, and I had a friend who lived at this house, and I don't know, it might have been his grandpa, someone in the house. We knock on the door, ring the doorbell, and all we hear from inside the house is, "We ain't got no goddamn candy!" One of my fondest Halloween memories is, we ain't got no goddamn candy.
I mean, I wasn't even in that situation, and it's my favorite Halloween memory.
It's like I wasn't even upset. I'm like, that's better than... This man has no idea how much he's affected my life. That was better than any Snickers bar could
Well,
do.
yeah. Speaking of candy, what was your favorite candy as a kid?
You know, as a kid, I was like a big fan of Reese's Peanut Butter Cups, which I still enjoy, but I'm like a bigger fan of like Butterfinger now. If I had to pick one.
You would like a Butterfinger.
Butthole finger.
That's right.
Yuck.
Nobody better lay a finger on my Butterfinger.
Nobody better lay a finger on my Butterfinger.
Or my butthole. You know,
Speaking
one of my
nostalgia.
my favorite things from Halloween when I was little. So I mean, this would have been when we were like, I guess we were 5 or 6. Early 90s when McDonald's used to have those awesome pails that they gave out for, I think they put the Happy Meals in the pail, right? Yeah. So I used those. I had the witch, the ghost, and there was a little orange pumpkin.
Yeah, I had the pumpkin.
And I think for like 3 years straight, I used like a different one each
What's
year.
so funny is like when we were kids, that was a normal sized pail. You know, it was a little pail, and we were okay with it. But those kids these days, they got
fucking like...
they got like a giant cauldron.
Please tell me you remember the little characters, and they were McNuggets that had costumes that were interchangeable.
Yes.
They would have a body
They're
piece
like
and a headpiece.
plastic.
So I had Dracula,
I just had the ghost.
Frankenstein. I think and I had
All
the
I
ghost.
had was the ghost.
I think I had 3 of them. I had Dracula, Frankenstein, and the ghost.
You know what? I did have Frankenstein.
Yeah, because
I remember
because
he had the
top. I'd sit there and mismatch them. Like I put the Frankenstein flat top with the little Dracula body and cape.
You sit there and go.
These channels would have Halloween marathons. Now, granted, all the movies are, edited to hell and back. They're not
Better
showing
than nothing.
Exactly, and that was the cool thing because this was my only chance to see all the Nightmare on Elm Street, Child's Play movies, Friday the 13th, all these classic Halloween films.
So I watched Child's Play with my mom.
Did you?
When I was 6, 7, 8. And I don't remember if it was the first one or the second one, but there's a scene. There's a scene where Chucky is in the backseat of a car and he holds a knife to the guy's throat and he goes,
Don't fuck with the Chuck.
and I repeated it. And I'm like, what does that mean? And she's like, no.
Like it just didn't freak you
No,
out.
you know what freaked me out? Are You Afraid of the Dark? There is no way that I could watch Are You Afraid of the Dark and then go to sleep that night.
You got freaked out by Are You Afraid of the Dark, but you watched Child's Play. That didn't bother you, but Nickelodeon's show did.
Yeah. I feel like all these snowflakes these days, like no one watches horror movies with their kids anymore. So when I was a kid, I didn't watch many horror movies.
Yeah.
Like we watch Child's Play every once in a while. I've seen a couple of the Halloweens, but I'm starting to catch up on like some of those obscure ones, like
Ones from
Saturday the
childhood?
14th.
Let me ask you about one that I actually watched a lot as a kid. This is one of the family-friendly ones. It might have came on before it was ABC Family. It was just the Family Channel. It was called Mr. Boogedy.
Not Mr. Boogie.
Mr. Boogedy.
Like okay. In the last 5 years or so, I've become a huge Haunt fan. Every year I go down to Universal Orlando and I go to Halloween Horror Nights with my wife and my brother. I'm obsessed with Halloween Horror Nights.
For those of you who across the country live near a Six Flags, it's like if Fright Fest was good, it would be Halloween Horror Nights.
It's like if Fright Fest wasn't a dumpster fire. Don't start at Universal.
Six
and then go to
Flags.
Six
So
Flags.
production values. Fright Fest is like a nostalgic Numbnuts video.
Nah,
Universal.
that still may be higher quality than us.
Oh fuck!
Isn't it funny that we are such an apex predator that we literally pay people to go in and
scare us?
get scared?
I do remember when I was a kid, my mom decorated she loves Halloween.
Oh yeah.
Her birthday's in October too.
Nice.
It was actually on Saturday the 14th. Mom decorated the hell out of that house. We had some awesome shit in there.
You know what's so funny? When Holly and I first moved into our house a couple years ago, we wanted to be the awesome house on the block. And so we bought like full-size candy bars, like king-size candy bars,
Shit.
like pixie sticks that are like 6.5 foot long. And we sat at the end of our driveway, and you know how many kids came up? Zero. Apparently, kids these days, for the most part, don't trick or treat anymore. Do you remember as a kid, like a big deal was like your parents checking your candy before you got to eat it? Because apparently there was a
fucking razor blade.
Yeah, there's a big thing with razor blades.
I guess that could kill you if you swallowed it, but like how many
What
candies?
kind of fucking idiot?
Just fucking Reese's peanut butter go like it was like a snake and dislocates their jaw. Just tries to swallow the whole candy.
I feel like eating a bit of honey is like eating razor blades. It pulls out your fucking teeth.
I wonder how common that was, the razor blades and candy.
For
Or it's
what?
something that happened like once and it just got blown into
I don't
like,
think it
everything.
happened at all. You guys know the amount of production value and the amount of research that goes into these videos.
None.
But from what I remember is that there were literally, it's a myth.
That's it.
Hold on, we didn't talk about my favorite part of Halloween.
Oh.
And that's slutty costumes.
Oh boy, that's one that didn't really resonate until we got older, but woo, buddy. It's like any character you can imagine. There's like the sexed up female version of it. Ghostbuster, Freddy Krueger, even Chucky. And then
I want to see sexy Gollum.
I'm sure there's
Hold on. We've got Google. Oh, that's Jesus.
This is sexy Jesus.
I'm feeling a little triggered when you're
you feeling
singling out
triggered?
female versions.
I mean, there's
Because
some sexy
there
males,
are
I guess.
sexy man costumes as well.
That's true. I'll give you that. Oh God.
Oh!
Our production's falling apart.
It never was.
It was literally taped together.
It still is. Are we still? Okay, yeah, we're good.
We're good.